Hey guys, welcome back to another production meeting. Today we have Matt and Ryan with us to talk about Artemis Fowl and the PS5 release. There's no news this week except for Star Wars Celebration was canceled, which bums me out. Um, and San Diego Comic-Con went virtual, so now everybody can go. Yay! So, Alex, this is your time to shine. What do you want to talk about, sir?
Okay, so really all I was gonna think about doing was going over just all the different games that were revealed and then just
Huh?
overall consensus of what the games were and then how we feel about the console itself, the peripherals added, maybe any bundles we're speculating on what may be released,
Hmm.
and the different types of consoles that will come out. For example, the digital versus standard editions. So I was just gonna go one by one with all the games. There were a total of 26 games, so I'm gonna kind of do this as fast as I can. Really, just quick talk about each
Sweet.
games to develop and release date time. Um,
Okay.
so first to start, and I'm going to go in order by the reveal, and these are strictly the ones that were revealed last Thursday. So other ones such as like Cyberpunk that may be for PS5 later on, we're not going to talk about that because it wasn't part of this thing. So,
Cool.
but first off, kind of a weird title, GTA 5. Obviously that's already existed. This is actually its third generation going on. My first initial thought was, how many times are we going to release this title? Like, uh, at this point, can't we just make a new GTA? Even though I'm not a real fan of any of them, I'm just like, why don't you just make a GTA 6 and just be done with it already? Um, so yeah, I mean, this was a dip the toe kind of game into this event. Nothing big. It was just kind of to whet the appetites and then move forward. The release date for this, I thought was surprising. It's for late 2021. I'm like, you already have the games
Why?
made. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have no idea. So I was really, that's
So
really a bizarre detail.
is this supposed to be the same game?
Exactly the same game, maybe a couple of tweaks here and there, but nothing groundbreaking from what I've read. Nothing groundbreaking. So
Okay.
yeah,
Now,
real go ahead.
now are they making a GTA 6?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure there's plans that Rockstar has to do one,
Yeah.
but they've not released any official word. If I'm a betting man, probably there's one somewhere behind the curtain.
No. Well, if you said it was coming out that late, I was wondering if maybe they just are using it as some type of like red herring or something like that. That just seems pretty
Maybe
crazy.
Yeah.
it could be. That that's a good theory. I wouldn't put it past them to do that. But so that was the first title. Next title, much more exciting, the Spider-Man Miles Morales, the
Yeah.
continuation of this awesome, free world Spider-Man, similar to those of the PS2 generation. It's
Hmm.
interesting that they're gonna go with Miles Morales as the star character. I mean, they kind of glimpsed into that in the previous game, but they weren't like 100% Insomniac saying, we're going to do this, or maybe we're going to tag team them with that. And maybe that's the approach that will still be taken. But it's real interesting that they're showcasing Miles more than anything else. And I
I
have
heard
made
that
sure that
this
this, oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I heard that this was a standalone game.
It is. Yeah, I was gonna say that it's not an expansion or a
Uh
DLC. It's its own title. I don't know if it's for both PS4 and PS5. I have to look into that. This is looking to be a launch title. If not, well, maybe not launch exactly. If not launch, then definitely before Christmas, easily. So
oh
that's
yeah.
one of the earlier games we're going to be getting. So I'm definitely excited about that. That was one of the top three of my
Yeah.
experience from Thursday. That, and I'll get to my others later on. But Thoughts on this one? Are we excited? Are we a little skeptical? What say we?
I mean,
Oh,
I'm
definitely
totally,
excited.
yeah, I'm excited too. I thought the machine, I mean, albeit it looks a little weird, but I thought it looked cool, but I'm still down for it. I mean, I'm planning on picking it up as soon as it comes out.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
Ryan?
that was another thought. Oh yeah, go for it, Ryan. I don't know if Ryan doesn't even have a PS4. I need to get this
That
man.
that is not true as of a week ago.
Oh, a plot twist. Somebody call M Night here.
Yeah. PS4, Fallout 4, Last of Us, and 15 other games. I got all at the same time, so I can start catching up.
Oh, good.
But I
Oh
still have-
man, finally.
Yeah,
Man's
I
a
haven't
believer.
I don't intend to pick up a PS5 until PS7 comes out, but you know.
He's gonna
Fair
test the
enough,
waters
fair
on
enough.
this.
I very much literally got a PlayStation 4 when I found out Ghost of Tsushima was coming out. I think that looks like the most appealing game ever for me. So I kind
It
of
is a
wanted
good looking game.
yeah. So
And for those who are still wondering, July 17th, that's when that comes out. So, you can, I think, still get your pre-orders in and all of that good stuff. I don't know about any special editions that are available, but you can still grab a copy pretty much anywhere. Next up on the list, Gran Turismo 7, the real driving simulator. I've never played a Gran Turismo game. This still looked pretty stunning. I was like, maybe I'll jump into the series. It looked pretty daggone good. They gave a little glimpse of the driving and some of the modifications you can make. Nothing that really stands out from a previous game. There's no release for this, none that was confirmed. So I don't have many thoughts on this. I don't know if anybody is a Turismo person here or has anything to say about that.
Well, don't they usually like plan another one every time that they drop another console? Because I feel like
Yes.
6 came out with the 4, right?
That usually is a launch title. They kind of bring that with whatever next generation. That typically is the case. They might have a title like somewhere 2-3 years after, but then that's it. That's, I think, not sure of the developer right off the top of my head, but I believe they probably have a deal with all the publishers. Like, hey, throw our game in with some type of bundle, and we'll throw you a bone or something like that. So,
all right.
Yeah, I mean it's cool, but I'm not terribly excited about it.
Yeah.
All right, the next thing that I was really, really excited about, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, another Insomniac game. Before I get into the specifics of the game, I feel like Insomniac is, I mean, they've been a pretty good developer for years and years and years. They came out swinging in this, in my opinion. They are really establishing that they are the guys to kind of run things as far as game quality goes for the next generation. And it shows, because I saw the gameplay trailer after the kind of cinematic trailer, and it looked really cool. It showed the processing power of the PS5, and that solid state drive is kind of a force to be reckoned with, at least from initial sight and everything. So I'm really excited for this. I've played probably 80% of all of the Ratchet and Clank games. A couple of the spin-off games are meh, but overall, I'm really, really excited for this, and I can't wait to get my hands on it. So anybody else big fan of this one, waiting for this one?
Well, I don't know. I'm kind of interested. You brought up the solid state. Like when they showed that Ratchet and Clank trailer, it had the gameplay looked like it was literally going between levels like instantaneously. Mm-hmm. And it just kind of begs the question, like, how are games going to pace themselves now when you go on? Because a lot of them, we've gotten used to, like, whether it's a load time between a stage to, like, change the scene, or maybe even just a long stairwell just to load up a different area. And so now if they can just do that stuff instantaneously, how are games going to break themselves up? And are they going to just be continuous like that?
Yeah, that's a good question. Of one, how do they shade in between the levels? And one, is it going to need that much shading? And then, yeah, we've talked about this before, where
Mhm.
we're gonna, because of that processing power, there's going to be so much content that is being thrown at us that, you know, we're going to need a break at some point. So I think a lot of what's going to happen is a lot of like mini games, kind of something kind of slow paced story is going to happen. Kind of like, I finally finished Final Fantasy VII last night, and there's a lot of that kind of
Yeah.
couple of chapters where they're really short, where, you know, you don't need a lot of processing power, and I think that's what's going to happen. Maybe, I don't know. We'll have to see. It's an interesting thought. So, all right. So that's Ratchet and Clank. Next, not much is known about this project. It literally is called Project Athia, or Athia, however they pronounce it. It's a working title. It's the next one in the Square Enix line of games. No release window for this, obviously, because, you know, they don't even have a title yet. Not a very long trailer, only about a minute long. My initial thoughts were that it was similar to Tomb Raider. It was kind of like a Tomb Raider meets Final Fantasy with parkour, kind of. It has that vibe, and it makes sense because they have been making the games for Tomb Raider for the last 5 to 8 years, and obviously they have the rights to
Yeah.
all the Final Fantasy. It looked pretty cool, the fast-paced gameplay from what we saw. I would definitely be intrigued by what is to come later on. So I will have to watch out for that. Next one, kind of a bizarre title called Stray from Blue 12 Studios. It's kind of this, almost like a dystopic type of realm with a cat. I would presume that you control the cat, and you're in this world where robots are basically, they are essentially human, but they are robots. It's kind of a weird way to describe it. They act as exactly like humans. They walk like humans. They have mannerisms like humans, but they're all kind of, you know, this robotic look to them. And you don't know a lot about it. It's very bizarre. I'm interested in it, but it's not one of the ones that jumped out at me. That has a release date just 2021. We don't know specifically when that's going to happen. So, next one. This one's really weird. We're gonna think of a movie pretty soon, right after I tell you what it's about. So there's Returnal, brought to us by House Marquee Games. No release date for this one. This one is a third-person shooter where the player controls a space pilot stranded on an alien world. You relive her crash, exploration, and death on the strange planet over and over and over as you proceed through the game, and as you, I would assume, fail, and you'd have to replay over and over. The first thought
Edge
I
of
had
Tomorrow?
for this,
Yeah.
well, I thought of Happy Death Day in space. That was my first thought. I was like, okay, this is kind of weird, kind of a bizarre thought, but actually kind of cool at the same time. I was like, I would like to learn more about this. Definitely excited, but not my most jumped out game. Next one is Sackboy Big Adventure by Sumo Digital. No release date for that. That's pretty much just another Little Big Planet, but just with a little bit more 3D perspective on it. It's kind of cool. Looks more like a party game than a platform adventure. But I'm probably going to be proven wrong on that. Not much to go on that. I mean, it looks pretty much like any other Big Planet game. Next up, Destruction All Stars. This one looked basically like Rocket League meets Overwatch, in my opinion. It's just like death bumper cars. This one's by Lucid Games and Wushu Studios. It looked kind of cool, but I was like, this looks too much like Rocket League for me to be like, this is not Rocket League. So it's just, you know, yeah, not much to say on that one. Next one is the Kenya Big Bridge of Spirits. This one is seeming to be another launch title. This is by Ember Lab. This is an indie studio. This is in fact actually their first big title. Actually, it may be their first title at all. I'm interested to see what this has to offer, especially because the way that this studio is starting out, it's very similar to Naughty Dog, and we all know that Naughty Dog made like Jak and Daxter and Crash Bandicoot, and they've kind of blown up to be the big contributors to a lot of third-person shooters / action adventure and huge stories. So this is, I'm more interested in what this development team is going to do later on after whatever success comes with this game. The game itself is a kind of platformer action adventure. You know, it looks kind of like Avatar: Last Airbender if it were made into kind of like a platformer. So not too many thoughts on that one, but you know, it looked kind of interesting. Next one. This one was very bizarre. I was not interested in this at all. It was called Goodbye Volcano High by either Co-op or Coop Games. I don't know how you would pronounce it. They're Montreal-based studio. I don't know. It's Canadians. What do you expect? This is set for next year. Don't know exactly when. It's a time exclusive. It'll be released later on for Xbox. Who knows when? But this is a narrative adventure. It's basically like playing an anime with like anthropomorphic teenagers. You know, one's like a dolphin, one's like a leopard or something, and it's very bizarre.
Okay.
I'm so not into this, but you know, I had to throw it out there because it was one of the titles revealed. Next one is Oddworld Soulstorm. This one was very weird. This one looked a lot like Ratchet and Clank, but it looked like it was mixed with Mad Max or something. It had that post-apocalyptic kind of dirt feel to it, and I was just like, this looks bizarre. I kind of want to play this, but at the same time, I'm good not playing this. Apparently, it is a continuation of Oddworld New and Tasty, whatever the heck that is, from 2014. I've never heard of that. Don't ask me. I've never heard of that. And then apparently, this is a reimagining of a game from 1998 called Oddworld 8 Exodus on the PS1. So very, very bizarre looking game. I don't know what to expect from it later on. I may look into it later. Who knows? So, gosh, I'm talking so much.
You're doing a great job, Alex.
Thank you.
Kudos.
Next up is a weird first-person kind of action adventure, Ghostwire Tokyo by Tango Gameworks, brought to us by the publisher Bethesda. This is set for next year. Don't know exactly the time frame for that, but it's expected next year. This one's really bizarre. It's kind of a fantasy type. I don't even know. I was so uninterested in this. I couldn't even. I was like, okay, can we just get through this trailer, please, to the next one? So you know, again, that's Ghostwire Tokyo. If anybody is even interested in that title, you know, go check it out. It's, you know, it'll be on YouTube. After that is now this one. This is another really bizarre game that, again, I just wasn't really into. In fact, I got the title wrong when I first saw it because I couldn't read the text. It's called Jet the Far Shore by Super Brothers Studio, in addition to being produced by Pine Scented Studios. These are weird names. This one is also to be a 2020, probably a launch title, maybe before Christmas, don't know exactly. It looks a lot like No Man's Sky with more travel, space travel and exploration. You can't really go off of much of what was shown. It was only like a 50-second long trailer. It was, you just see a spaceship going into orbit, and it takes apparently 200 years to do that. And then you see a ship cruise around a planet. You don't know what's happening. It's very bizarre. Not much to go off of. After that one came Godfall. Now this is the one game that was first shown officially to be on PS5. The first confirmed title to be on PS5. Brought to us by Counterplay Games and by Gearbox Publishing. This is probably going to be a launch title. I would bet that this is probably going to be with bundles. I can't imagine that they're not going to have a bundle with this game in it. It's action role playing, hack and slash looter. It's very, very similar to God of War as far as gameplay style and really their look. A lot of armor looks the same. The story, not much is known. We've only known for about 3 months about it. Not much to go off of. I'm interested in this game, but yeah. So that is going to be for. I would expect that to be in a bundle. Next one is Solar Ash by Annapurna Interactive. This one, again, not much to go off of. It kind of looked like a Zelda platformer, but in space. It looked very artsy-fartsy, had kind of a cel-shaded look to it, if I remember. That was pretty cool. But again, only 50-second trailer. That's this event consisted a lot of those types of trailers. So you dip your toe in a lot of these titles. So not much to go off of from there. All right. Okay. Here's a biggie. Here's where little input I can expect. Hitman 3 by IO Interactive. This one actually has a month in its release window. Is set for January of next year. This looks pretty interesting. I've never played any of the other Hitman games. I mean, I would assume that this is very similar to the previous installments, where he would, of course, go kill people. The settings look kind of interesting. I don't know if anybody saw this and had, any emotional feelings about it. Any intakes on this one?
As long as they don't get one more movie.
I don't know if that's a deal made.
How many Hitman movies are there? Are there one or are there two of them? Two.
There's two of them.
Agent 47, I know is one.
That's the one I forgot.
I remember that one because I probably have the promotional tie that was given out. I have that somewhere.
Remember that tie. I do remember that tie now.
And zipped up and everything. Okay, and then the last few I'll just kind of rapid fire through real quick. Astro Playroom by Sony Entertainment Japan Studio. This one's not impressive. It's kind of just I would imagine that you may even be able to get this free if not for like $10. It's just kind of a show off the features of the console kind of game, with the ray tracing and solid state drive probably processing. It's just kind of a show off the system kind of game, nothing big. Next one, Little Devil Inside by NeoStream Interactive. This one was kind of interesting, kind of weird. It looked like I can't even describe it. This one's pretty interesting. I would definitely go look this up. There's no time frame for when this is going to be released, but I definitely would check this out. Little Devil Inside. Next one, NBA 2K21. Like Gran Turismo, every generation is at least going to get one NBA 2K. Obviously, NBA 2K is going to have like probably 7 installments, if not like 8. But you're always going to have a 2K on a launch, and that's when this one is going to be released, fall of 2020. So nothing big there, pretty much the same. Just kind of better graphics and Zion sweating a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This one was a bizarre game. Bug Snacks by Young Horses Studios. This one is set to release the end of this year. The premise of this game is where the bugs are basically food, like sandwiches and hot dogs and tomatoes and stuff. And I'm like, this is weird. And towards the end of the trailer, there's some kind of twist, dark tone thing that goes on. And we're like, is there supposed to be a story with this bizarre, weird game too? I'm like, I don't know. So that's another release for later on this year. This one's a biggie for a lot of the Souls games fans. Demon Souls by Blueprint Games. This one is basically a remake. I don't know. I've never played this one. I believe the first one came out on PS3, and a lot of people are very interested in this. So I don't know if anybody is interested in that, but here we go. It's coming out. Oh, I thought this one actually had a window. No, it does not. Just announced. No time frame. Deathloop by Arcane Studios, brought to us by Bethesda. This one is set for this year at the end, probably a December release. This one, the premise is basically, it's kind of like a Prince of Persia, where you can proceed through the levels and doing your missions. And if you fail, you can rewind time and basically go through it again and, try and, pull it off by doing better tactics, preparing better, and so on and so on. It's kind of cool. I would definitely check that out. Not a standout per se, but definitely an interesting title. All right, this is a biggie. Resident Evil 8 Village, brought to us by Capcom, set for next year. Yes. I'm going to ask for weigh-in on this one because I am not a Resident Evil guy. I've never seen any of the movies. I've never played any of the other games. I am not really qualified to say anything much on it. So thoughts on this one?
Well, I actually am quite excited about this one because I love 7. 7 was a Biohazard and you play first person. And so the crap that scares you and like jumps out at you and everything else like that is all like first person. So you're and it looks like when I watched the trailer, it looks like that's what they're following, is in that same type of first person like shooter type of view. But yeah, like this one looks, the only thing that I'm kind of like worried about is this one kind of looks a little Resident Evil 4, where like the fourth one, like they go to like some village in like Spain or something like that, right? I can't remember. But yeah, Biohazard, like it dealt like within this like Louisiana like mansion in the bayou somewhere, and this one looks a little bit like 4, where he kind of goes into like some village in the Alps or whatever. But I'm actually kind of excited about this. Like the Resident Evil 2 remake was actually pretty good. The graphics were a lot better, but the story kind of stays the same. But yeah, I'm definitely stoked for this.
Now, for somebody like me who isn't very familiar with all these, are the games from, title to title, are they connected, or are they more like a Final Fantasy where everybody kind of has their own kind of story? Everything's kind of disconnected.
The first 3 and like their offshoots, like the Project Veronica and like Umbrella Chronicles or whatever, they're all connected and they kind of deal within like Raccoon City. And then 4 doesn't have the zombie virus. It's just like something else that like he goes to rescue the president's daughter or something like that. And then 5 kind of goes to Africa and the characters are kind of the same. And then 6 kind of like brings it all together. But 7 is like 7 and it looks like this one is like a completely different offshoot. So if you're looking to get into like the Resident Evil games, I'd start with like 7 instead of going backwards. Unless you want to play Resident Evil 2, because that was the best one anyway. Resident Evil 2 has a bigger scale.
Well, this one made me very interested in the series. I was like, I didn't know it was Resident Evil until the title's up there. And I was like, okay, maybe I'm down for this. Maybe I'll finally jump into this.
Well, it definitely, I think, had one of the better trailers as far as all the trailers go. I thought it looked really good. And I was like, this looks like a Resident Evil trailer, but I'm not sure. And then sure enough, it was. And I was like, oh, well, that was a really awesome trailer. So I'm not going to play it, though. It's not my jam, but it looked like it was a good trailer.
I agree with that. I thought it was very, very cool and very polished.
Yeah.
So, all right, just two more titles, and then we'll get on to yes, we'll move on. Pragmata, another Capcom title. This is the furthest out technically title that we have, being set for 2022. It's kind of hard to describe what's happening in this. It's kind of a post-apocalyptic, just like a lot of games are, where you apparently take control as a astronaut who can traverse to planet without any spacecraft or something like that. And it's odd, but I can't really elaborate on much more. I have no idea. You know, with a lot of these games, you're just these are just announcing things. They're not really trying to get you all of the information. They're just saying, "Here, this is what's out there right now." But you know, we'll show you more later on. All right, and then the last title, the biggest one, arguably the biggest one, is Horizon Forbidden West. Obviously a sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn. I am very looking forward to this, developed by Guerrilla Games. There's no release on this one. An interesting fact about this game is it's going to be ran on the Decima engine, which is very not unpopular, just not used very often. Most games are going to be probably continuing to use Unreal Engine 4, and then kind of segueing into Unreal Engine 5, which we saw on display about a month ago. Games such as Until Dawn, of all games, and Killzone and Death Stranding are games that have run on the Decima engine. And so that just kind of gives you a glimpse into kind of what this may look like, especially since Death Stranding just came out recently. Kind of get a take on what it may look like later on. I mean, it's pretty much going to look the same as the first Horizon, because that one was also ran on the Decima engine. And so I can't say how much I'm excited for this. I thought that the first one was phenomenal. The open world was really good. The interaction with kind of the primitive yet very technologically advanced world was really well done. And Guerrilla Games definitely established that they can make some good quality stuff. Now, they had already a lot of good stuff anyway, but this one is really the piece de resistance of the event, if you ask me. And then finally, before we get into the review, just a couple thoughts on the system itself. There is going to be a regular version of the console, in addition to a digital version, which will, as you can imagine, not have a CD drive slot or anything like that. It'll just be purely downloadable content that'll be on there. We got a glimpse of a charging station for controllers, a headset that looks very similar to the PlayStation Platinum that we've had for about a couple years now, and a new PS camera, along with I believe that was all I can I think that was all that was revealed. All of it looked very white, very sleek, very good looking. I'm gonna be honest, the PlayStation 5, I say that it looks really good, and then I take a step back and I'm like, does it though? And
looks like a modem.
It does look like a modem with a couple of sandwiched in between some plastic. I will agree with that. I do think that this would look better as a all like kind of black and blue kind of trim system, but I'm regardless still really excited for it. There is still no release window for there is a release window of holiday this year, but no specific like month or date or anything like that. And more importantly, there is no price set out there. No initial price, no bundle price, nothing. So we're all going off of rumors. I've heard that maybe somewhere in the realm of $5 to $550 is initially what we're thinking for bundles. I don't know. So I'm just glad that we got to see what it looks like finally after months and months of like Microsoft having already revealed theirs. I think the price war is now a game of chicken between them and Microsoft. It's whoever reveals theirs first gets to be the higher priced system by probably about $50. So whoever reveals theirs, the next one will be like, okay, ours is only $25 less. Hey, we're the better system. We're way better, and so on like that. So overall, I was very excited about all the game, a lot of the games. The system just being revealed is very cool. Had my thoughts on it. I don't know if anybody else had any differing opinions, any glaring issues or concerns, anything.
Not for me.
No, I mean, like I said, I think it looks good. I think there's going to be a lot of different customizations that are going to end up coming out with it. Those side plates bound to come off, and they're going to change and look different. As far as price points go, there's no way that thing is more than $600. So it's going to be $500, $550. Now, if that includes, bundling all the camera or whatever, who knows? I mean, there might be a bigger bundle that's like $700 or $800, but the system itself, especially the digital one, that one will probably only be around $450. I don't see them charging more than $500 for that one anyway. So, but I mean, I'm down. Like I said earlier, I'm willing to pick it up. Hopefully, it won't have any major flaws when it comes out.
Yeah, that's always the concern is, initial bugs. And I mean, we all pretty much remember the Xbox 360, even though I never had it, the red ring of death. Just about everybody experienced that, whoever had a Xbox 360. And so, yeah, there's always that question of, do I get it initially? I'm probably right there with you. I will probably set aside a couple $100 and go ahead and get it when it launches. And then there's always a talk of, there's going to be a pro version of it come maybe a year and a half later. So it's, do you wait it out? And who knows? I mean, it's all about personal preference. So, but overall, it was really cool. A lot of good information. Definitely a lot to look forward to in the coming months. So,
well, how much was the 4 when it first came out?
Is it $399?
Gosh, I don't know, because it was funny when I was going to get it. I told somebody, I was like, hey, I'm gonna get this when better games come out, because the exact opposite of what the PS5 is experiencing at launch with all these good titles, the PS4 had nothing at launch. It had bupkis. It had nothing. I mean, it had probably Forza, I mean, Gran Turismo, and like Battlefield or something like that. But other
Black
than that,
Flag
it was.
On it.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so there was a couple of decent titles, but I mean, really, it was for the most part bare bones. And
yeah, it came out. It was $399 in 2014.
Yeah. So I mean, I was gonna wait, and then somebody got it for me, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess I'll go get Injustice or something. Which I'm sorry for anybody who, really likes that and Mortal Kombat games. I hated that game. I couldn't trade that in fast enough. I ended up getting Infamous Second Son, which is amazing. I think there's tons of places putting that on sale. So, it's a good little title. It's only, as old as the system is. So, I think with that, I will turn it over to Clint, and we can get started on our review for this week.
All right. Well, our review this week was Artemis Fowl. That was put onto Disney Plus apparently for a reason. So, you guys are gonna have to help me out with the synopsis of this movie because I'm still confused.
Has anyone read the book? Like, have any one of us read the book?
Nope.
No.
I know that Disney purchased the rights to the first book before it was published.
Did Disney read the book?
No.
Oh, man.
I don't think so.
I mean, this film's been done for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
And apparently it's been trying to get off the ground since like 2002. Or however long the book came out.
Jeez.
And apparently they've just had the worst time getting this movie made. And then they finally made it.
Clearly.
Post-production problems and took years to get it out.
You know what's ironic about this though is like I watched like the extra stuff like on Disney Plus, and Kenneth Branagh, the director of this movie, actually said that he was interested in this movie through his nephews and read the book. And I don't understand how he got this. Was like to me this is like a M. Night Shyamalan Last Airbender type of thing where like Shyamalan has very famously said, yeah, I was very interested in Avatar: The Last Airbender, and I really wanted to make a movie, and then you gave us this. And I think this is what Kenneth Branagh did. He's just kind of like, give us whatever this is. So according to the book, like I did a little research, the book, he's supposed to be like some criminal, like apparently like his father is a criminal mastermind, and so he's a 12-year-old. He kind of like takes up his father's mantle and holds this fairy for ransom for leprechaun gold, which sounds interesting, but that's not what this movie was. I can't.
He's just overwhelmed with joy.
No, with confusion. So he's a brilliant kid who sees that his father is kidnapped and has to somehow get the Oculus, which is some sort of MacGuffin from the Irish fable fairy world. And somehow...
Yeah, what's the Oculus? Can you tell me what exactly the Oculus is again?
I thought that it was supposed to like open up portals between the fairy world and the human world, which it doesn't do. At the end of this movie, it doesn't do either of those things.
It does resolve all of the conflict for no reason.
Yeah,
Conflict.
right? Yeah. Okay, so his father gets kidnapped by some harshly talking pixie fairy. I don't know what this does it even explain who this character is.
I don't know who that is. I literally all he does is talk like this the entire time, and
Wait,
that's all I know.
You're describing
Yeah.
3 characters. Judi Dench, the person in the hood, and Saskia all talk like Batman.
Yeah, I was gonna say, are you
Thank
talking
you.
about Judi Dench?
They all what was the deal?
Talking like Olaf, obviously.
I was
yeah.
I was talking about this movie with my kitchen manager earlier, and he was talking about the fact that Disney probably was like, kids might recognize his voice if we don't have him change it. So we got to make sure kids don't recognize him as Olaf.
So why did we change Judi Dench's voice?
Because
She has a very nice voice.
Because she also played Olaf.
Okay.
Oh man.
I can't think of
Well, he's
anything that's Frozen now.
Right. So he's kidnapped, and Artemis Fowl Jr. Okay, so he's apparently a junior, and junior has to save him by getting this Oculus. So he decides to capture a fairy who just happens to be a part of this story somehow.
Because her dad did something criminal.
Because her father, he's trying to like, what was it, like make up for her father's mistakes or something? I don't know. And then capture this, and so they like the fairies decide to put like this Battle of Helm's Deep on top of like on Artemis Fowl Mansion or whatever.
Very, very well produced Battle of Helm's Deep, might I add. What is a time freeze?
Yeah, I was
It's
just
a
getting
new,
this. So
It's a new flavor by 7-Eleven.
I want to know why we need a time freeze. Constantly, we're getting use of this time freeze, and we're looking at it from the outside. Can people see it from the outside?
Okay,
If so,
so the first time that they use this time freeze, this clock stopper, everything else stops inside of this clock stopper, right? So the second time they use this, nobody stopped. Like, why?
Yeah.
What's the mechanics on this? Does anybody know? Ryan?
oh yeah. So what happened is some writers wanted to make tension
Oh,
and then speed the tension along by having a time constraint on the tension, and couldn't think of any logical way to do it.
yeah. That's
Well, my whole thing was the way the whole movie was set up. It was shortcut after shortcut. Whether it's the beginning of the movie that shows him sitting down with his principal or headmaster or whatever you want to call it, and then just having this thing that shows him being smart, just so we know we can assume he's smart the entire time. Or it's this fairy elf leprechaun thing that goes and gets nominated to be go stop a troll, so they can show us the time freeze that makes no sense anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I still don't understand what happened in this movie. Like, I literally don't know.
I don't either. Like, okay, so did anybody else see the part of the movie where Olaf actually swallows this acorn? Okay, so he swallows the acorn, right? Okay, and then Artemis, like, the kid turns to him and says, "Do you have the Oculus?" And he starts rubbing his stomach like he's Santa Claus for some reason. I'm like, yeah, it's safe right here. And anybody else notice, like, 2 cuts later, all of a sudden this kid has it in his hands? Did anybody else notice this?
At that point, I'd already given up, man. I'm just like, whatever. It's fine. I just need to know how this is going to end. I mean, I'm assuming we're close to the end. I was at that point trying to figure out why a time freeze blowing up sucks everyone back to its magical world. I still don't understand this.
I thought they were all getting disintegrated.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's what I thought.
I thought they were getting sucked back.
Yeah.
Now you've ruined it. Are they all dead?
And she gets caught outside the time freeze. So it's not like they have to exist inside the time freeze. We're going to get hung up.
What was with the old guy in the boat?
For tension.
I remember.
Tension.
Oh, outside the time freeze. Oh yeah, it's a tension.
Like
thing.
he was in between. He was like,
yeah, he was in
on the
between.
bubble.
Yeah.
I feel like we could just say what was with, and then add a list of about 100 things for this movie. What was with that butler? What was with that butler's daughter?
Can't call him Butler. He doesn't like that, even though it's his name.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right, Matt. He doesn't like Butler, even though that's his last name.
Oh, and then he dies, and then she can't save him because they turned magic off like a power switch, and then she saves him, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Man, what's with the turning off of magic?
I didn't realize you could do that. Can you do that? Just turn off magic?
Only inside time.
And did I miss also? There's a point in the movie, and I'm sure it's in the book, where he can invite people in, or is it like a vampire thing? I'm not entirely sure. They mention it 5 times. Yeah, and I still couldn't figure it out.
Like, he's a kid and a guy and a little girl, and they can't go inside for some reason, but they have to send a troll inside to do it. And then he's got to dig under. I'm like, you can.
That was another thing I thought was weird. He digs under and then comes out of a painting. That I thought that was weird. He
comes. Not only that, he comes out right where he needs to come out, where the safe is.
Of course.
Because that's how life is convenient.
I don't know.
Oh man, this movie was so. I'll be honest with everybody here. I told Clint, bro, there's 25 minutes of this movie. I can't make it. I'm done. I'm so over this bland, stupid movie. And I had him tell me the ending, and I was just like, oh, I'm glad I didn't watch the rest of that.
It doesn't.
I'm going to admit.
Just kind of is over.
Well, hopefully it's to be continued, so I can know what everything means when they explain it again in the next movie.
Don't jinx it, Matt.
Come on, man! Direct to Disney Plus. It's gotta happen.
Artemis
They can-
2.
They can recast all the expensive actors. That doesn't matter.
You
But
know,
Olaf
that's
will
who I
do it
feel bad
anyway.
for the most. That is who I feel bad for the most. There's Dame Judi Dench, Oscar-winning Judi Dench.
She must
Sounding
have had
like
like a
Batman.
nephew or niece that liked the book too. There's no way she would have just taken this.
That niece must have also loved cats.
Touche. I hope she fired her agent. I don't know. That's
Right?
like back to back.
No, there's like a rumor that her agent hates her or something like that, and that's why she's getting her these awful roles.
Oh my gosh.
He's batting a thousand.
Colin Farrell.
lately.
You know what? I'm going to say this right now that you bring that up. Cats is a better movie than this was. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but Cats was a better movie than Artemis Fowl. Easy. It was more entertaining. Easy.
That's fair. That's fair, I guess. I was comparing this movie in my head to Doolittle, and I was trying to remember which one was worse. And I think
You know what? You say that. Doolittle was just boring. At least this one, I'm like, what is going on? When I'm trying to like figure it out. So it was like kind of like some mental like stimulus going on. Doolittle, I didn't care.
but no.
Well,
Go ahead.
I was gonna say Cats was good enough to get 2 different versions. So I mean,
Release the
just
Brannigan.
saying. Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. Do that. Maybe
Oh.
it'll be better.
No, someone said Colin Farrell. It was actually, I thought it was really funny that they had, I don't know why it's set in Ireland or why surfing in Ireland is like the first thing they show there. Because that's the first thing you think of Ireland is just surfing.
Well, that was another thing I thought was weird. I was like, are you guys going out of the box? Apparently this movie is supposed to take place in Ireland, but you were not setting it up any traditional Ireland sense.
Yeah.
Like I've never thought about surfing in Ireland at all.
But then,
Is that a thing?
No.
I mean, I'm sure it
No,
is.
it's not.
What's up with the
It's not.
surfing in Ireland, man?
but like, I love the fact though, I mean, I don't actually love it. That you should not cast an Irish actor opposite a bunch of people who can't do Irish accents. Because
That
Yeah.
I would have thought that kid had to have been Irish.
He had to be something because he definitely wasn't charismatic.
I know. I was like, is he even human? This is the most blandest kid ever.
I mean, I'm not going to say
I'm
the
gonna
kid
look
looks
this up.
funny.
I was like, this
That's
is like
funny.
the first big thing he's been in, and I feel a little bad for him.
It's also going to
But-
be the last big thing he's in.
Pretty much.
Oh my gosh.
What happens
I'm-
when you write protagonist
Oh my gosh.
as a dislikable jerk, who's also the cool character?
Okay, this kid is actually Irish.
Okay.
Blows my mind because I
Go
heard
figure.
a very faint Irish accent. And
I
he's
don't get why
vegan. So
But they don't have to do a thicker Irish accent if he's supposed to be Irish.
This is like when remember The Foreigner with Jackie Chan and Pierce Brosnan? I never knew that Pierce Brosnan was kind of sort of Irish, like Welsh, somewhere in there. And I thought his accent in
He
that was
played
terrible.
Bond.
And apparently, no, he's not British though, right?
yeah.
He's
He's-
but anyway, so I didn't know that specifically, and I was like, I thought, man, this guy's accent in this movie is terrible. And then I went and looked it up later, and that's like very, very close to his actual accent. And I'm like, oh, well, your accent sounds terrible. Like, and that's what this kid was like. I was like, man, no.
Yeah.
This kid hasn't been in anything else.
Yeah, I figured.
So
Oh,
I would
man.
give this a solid 2 at best.
1.
That's out of 10.
Yeah.
I don't want to give it a 1. Like, but I would give it a 2. I just it didn't bore me enough to give it a 1. Like there was definitely something that made me. It was entertaining to the fact where I just didn't know what was going on. But it is bad. Like it is legitimately nothing about this movie, except maybe the scenery, and I mean just like the Irish scenery, the surfing and everything. Even like the special effects weren't that great. But I was not a fan.
I had a genuinely horrific reaction to Josh Gad opening his jaw up and then digging in the ground and then spitting all the dirt out of his butt.
Yeah,
That was
bizarre.
terrifying visual effects work.
Look, that was the point of the movie where I was like Matt. I was like, yeah, okay. This is what we're doing, I guess. Yeah.
I was thinking, would this movie be a little bit better had it been just released? Like keep the effects the same, keep everything the same, keep it exactly the way it is. Just release it, let's say 2003. Would this be better?
No.
No.
The movie would be better if it didn't exist and they had made it into like a TV show. Like it legitimately, like if they had taken time and spaced it out and made it into like a 5-episode TV show or 6-episode TV show, like an hour long, then I think it would be good. They just tried to fit, and like I said, I say this not reading the books. They tried to fit so much stuff, I'm assuming from the books, into the movie without explaining any of it, trying to get from the beginning of the book to the end of the book, and it just did not make any sense. That on top of like the poor casting, and I think some of that poor design work, it was bad. And a lot of the acting too was pretty awful.
Yeah, it definitely gave some Dark Tower vibes with trying to cut out too much early on and cram in too much in the middle and leave out the end. And for a movie that narrates 100% of its runtime or exposits everything that happens, the fact that we don't know what happened in that movie is just a crime.
Look, two things. One, yeah, I agree with you, Matt. Like, there's a good movie in here if like they explained what was going on. If they kept like the book, like some sort of essence of the book, because this was like a lot of, like Matt, just like quick cuts. We're going from here to here to here to here to here to here, and this is the movie. And it was like an hour and 20 some odd minutes long, and there's
I think you touched on it a little bit where they had the essence. Well, like they had some sort of the essence of the book, but from what you mentioned about the book, they didn't want to make this character. I mean, they kind of touched on him being criminal mastermind or like a negative person, but he didn't seem like malicious at all. He seemed like he was, and I think that it didn't help anything.
Yeah, exactly. And it was like you could tell that there was more to this story than what they were giving. And it just like if they would have like fleshed this out and made this movie longer. I think that was the other thing is like I say it a lot that like some movies are just like a half hour too long. This is like a half hour too short. Like you have to gain some other information in this to like why this kid is the way that he is, like who this villain is. Like that was kind of weird. I think we've seen this villain for what 5 minutes total for this whole movie. It was just so bizarre. And like you were saying, Matt, like, and secondly, this really reminded me of The Last Airbender, where it just like when Shyamalan did The Last Airbender, he tried to do a whole season of like 22 episodes into like an hour and 45-minute movie, and it's like, no, you can't do that. You have to like space this out and like really flesh out whatever it is that you're trying to say. And like, it was so bad. And I'm like, I now thinking of The Last Airbender, I'm like, that was probably a better movie than this. And I am a huge Avatar: The Last Airbender fan, and I hated that movie. But I swear this was probably worse. By just like a nose hair. Like the only reason why I gave it a 1 is because at least they had Irish actors in an Irish movie.
Well, you say that. I think a lot of it goes with like, at least with Avatar, for me, it's like material that I love. And so I take it more to heart when I see a film that's as bad as that was. This, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about Artemis Fowl. I could care less. And I'm just,
Yeah.
so to that, at least for that, I mean, it's new to me, so I can't hate it at all, for what that is.
Yeah,
I can just hate it for not making any sense.
I'd have to agree. I think Avatar, there's definitely some attachment to it, and I mean, even as far as adapting it, I mean, Brandis had a good track record with adaptations. Maybe the book is really confusing, and just did the best they could with it. Because even like with Avatar, you it's not like you're reading it and trying to interpret it. You can watch it. So them
Yeah.
pronouncing wrong in Avatar is just unacceptable. But
Yeah.
because it's not like you're reading. Literally, you can listen to it. I feel like there was more to this movie when they started shooting it. Because I mean, I think even Kenneth Branagh has done a couple misses lately. But even the problems with those movies, I don't feel like are the problems with this movie in particular. It has so much of a big studio film put into it, like a Nutcracker feel to it, where it's just kind of shoehorned in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think the books are. Well, I've not read them either. The only person I know of whom has read them is Ashley, and from what I can gather, she didn't. She thought they were interesting, and she's like been waiting for this movie, so to speak, for a while. So
Not
they
anymore.
have to be at least somewhat. Yeah, right. I'm
Wait,
later
has
on when
she
I,
watched it yet?
no.
Okay,
She
well,
was at
then
work today.
that's your homework now. You have to get her to watch it so we can hear what she thought of it.
We'll do a follow-up video.
Yeah, follow video.
Okay, I will.
On
I mean,
Ashley.
I won't tell her a thing. I won't tell her how bad it is. I'm just gonna say, hey,
Tell her
this
we
is
all.
a thing.
It's the best movie of the year. Forget Little Man. This is where it's at.
It's the best movie of June.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
It's the best movie that I saw today.
I mean, the best movie on this weekend.
Yeah. Oh man, this and oh my gosh, Clint makes me think, make me feel like it was my pick. I mean, it was my pick, so I take the blame. But
It doesn't
come
matter
on.
if it's your. I mean, that's fine. I'm glad that you picked it because we all got to sit and watch the horribleness for ourselves. So now we can go spread the knowledge that we know that it's amazing.
Right, we can reverse this crime.
It's curse.
It's curse. Thank
Well,
you.
Sadly, I really want to read the book now just to see what is going on. Let me see.
How
long
Matt,
is
You're gonna be like, where's the part where he doesn't want people to call him Butler? Oh man, I can't wait to get to that part.
Oh my gosh, I was in pain during that weird training montage in the woods that lasts roughly 45 seconds and contains roughly 45 cuts in that scene.
Which scene is that? I don't remember.
The butler and the kid like stick fighting in the woods.
Yeah.
his niece.
And it makes
niece, yeah.
And it makes Suicide Squad look like a competently cut movie.
What was
Why
the
is
niece
this-
doing there?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Why is she even in the movie?
Making
Like,
sandwiches. Someone had to make sandwiches.
Oh.
Oh my God.
I think we all know. I think there's a reason they're trying to hit some checkpoints on the casting of this movie. And
Precocious
so,
kid.
I mean, that's pretty much how that went. But I mean, and I'm sure she plays a big part in the book too. That's another thing. Like, I want to read the book because I'm assuming she plays a pretty significant role in the book, assuming she is a character in the book. No?
I have no idea.
I researched this. I told you this. I researched this because I'm with you now, Matt. I thought that exactly. As soon as I stopped watching this, I was like, I got to read the book because this is probably the book that's going to make a lot more sense. Like, what is actually going on? And I found out that the only reason why, it has essence of the book, where he kidnaps this fairy, the Holly character, to get gold. That's the whole point of the book. So yeah.
Yeah, I thought the most bizarre part of the movie, I mean, and it's a good chunk of it too, is so the fairy gets caught, they go up and send a fairy army to rescue her, or kind of. I mean, not to rescue her, but more like so they don't reveal a fairy kind to humans and stuff like that. So I get that. So they send the army, can't do anything. Oh man, we can't do anything. Let's get Josh Gad up in here so he can kind of do something. And then, okay, he can't really do something, so let's send in a troll. And I'm just like, is Kevin Spacey going to show up in here at some point? I mean, everybody and their mom is going to be in this scene. And I'm like, this is stupid. It's a kid. It's 2 kids and a butler. Is there any?
You don't want to send Kevin Spacey in there, man.
Oh my God. Then David Spade, who I
There we go.
was originally thinking of. I mean, it was just so bizarre to me. I'm like, two kids and a butler, and they got to send everybody minus God.
I think you
take care of
just
it.
made the movie better. If they had cast David Spade as Artemis Fowl, it'd have been all over. I think that's a good film.
Yeah.
You threw off my groove in this mansion. I'm Artemis Fowl. You threw off my groove.
Look, I am highly convinced that this is Josh Gad's audition video for Matt Reeves and his new Batman trilogy.
He's got my vote.
He's got to play like a villain.
You can't hate the man. Josh Gad he's getting all them checks for Disney though, like one after another.
I said to Clint, he was easily. I mean, there are no interesting characters in this movie. Let's just get that straight. But of all the characters, he's most likely to be interesting. Otherwise, it's poop.
I don't know. I loved the character that is under Judi Dench and questioning her leadership because kids love internal politics. And then he tries to remove her from authority at one point, and then everything's okay.
By the High Council. Who is this High Council, by the way?
Disney.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And we first meet this guy in jail. Does that not raise red flags too? Like, what are you doing in jail?
Multiple sentences, man. He's been there multiple times.
All right.
Worst movie.
Very much so. All right, guys. So that does it for this week on another production meeting. Next week, I guess we all decided to do 7500, starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and on Amazon Prime. So, all right, guys. Any last words? Deuces.
No.
Nothing?
Thanks for having me, guys. Hopefully, I can be here next week. We'll see.
Yeah, man, this was fun. We'll
Mhm.
probably rip up Joseph Gordon-Levitt next week too. So
It can't get worse.
no,
Don't say that, man. Don't say that. Don't say that. For God's sake.
I think Matt is waiting for a bad movie. I think this is what we should do: is just like start just doing bad movies all week.
I mean, I think it's more pleasant to talk about bad movies than it is to talk about good movies.
That's true. This was a lot more fun.
So, but all right. Well, thanks for having me. Like I said, hopefully I'll be here again next week.
Yep. Ryan?
Maybe you'll be off again
See you
too,
guys.
Ryan.
Oh yeah, I'll be here
Hopefully.
next week.
Okay.
Awesome. All right, guys. See y'all later.